Hi, I'm Shari Pash. Today we're going to talk about the importance of collecting and tracking data as part of your sales strategy. That's going to be the focus of this mini training. So your CRM or your client or member database is really a foundational tool for just doing this, right? We need that. Data allows you to be strategic and intentional. So I'll share a few data fields that I feel can be really key. Now, based on your type of work, this may vary just a little bit. But we want to think about first our client or member data. We want to be tracking, adding with custom fields or user defined fields, wherever you can track information in your system. Their primary motivation. What's their why for doing business with you, for buying your product or service? We want that to show up right on the front page so that when you're talking to that client or member, you're able to immediately see their why and make sure you're always addressing it and adding value points for that. So number one, make sure you have a data field for their primary motivation, or if you want to call it their why. Also, lead source, I feel, is a very important field for us to track so we can make sure the work that we're doing is really benefiting the goals that you have for sales growth. So when I say lead source, it's tracking where your business is coming from. Many of you are already doing this, I'm sure. So I hope this is a refresher or reminder to make sure you continue doing this. But we want to have a lead source to know where did that account, that client, that member, how did they hear of you? How did they start doing business with you? So each quarter, you can run a report that shows you the lead source of the kind of business you want to grow. We all have the different levels of business, right? Strong business, repeatable business, then that little business that kind of takes your time, but is good filler business. Want to make sure that the lead source, you're looking at what's bringing you sustainable long-term business and do more of what's working. So often we just keep churning through our sales process, but take time to stop and look to see what the lead source is that's bringing the business you want, and let's do more of that. Another field that I found is really helpful is fiscal year of your client or your member. When does the new money start for them? So if you're looking to upsell, just sign a contract with them to do more business, to have more purchases. You want to know when their new money starts so you're sure to get in the conversation at the right time of year to get into that budget. Normally they fall on the quarters, either January, April, July, or October. But if they have new money starting July, you'd want to be talking a few months before that, where a lot of times we just assume their new money starts in January. So again, that will drive when your sales conversations happen. Really important to track fiscal year. And the key is we want to be able to run reports from all of this information. So think about for you, what do you want to track for your customers or clients that give you information that you want to be able to query a report from, not just capture the information in maybe a communication conversation log, but how you can run a report from that. Things like even what did they like least about their last vendor they used? What did they like best? We want to track this kind of data so you can run reports and drive your strategy and your messaging from this. Second, we want to take data to increase your sales production and outcomes. So that is now different types of fields than your client or member data. This is for your internal use. So we want to make sure that we're starting to track things like your task types, your activity. So in order to increase our production, we have to know what we're doing now, and then we can measure that for growth. But for instance, task types, activity types, you want to know if you're making new calls versus just repeat and follow-up calls. A lot of teams I work with, a lot of their calls are just repeat follow-up calls. We've got to make sure we're adding new companies into our mix of calls. So that's where you want to look and have a goal and look each week to see how much new versus repeat are we doing in our business. Same with a visiting. We are getting to where we can be out on sales calls again, or virtual versus phone versus email. We want to look to see what works for us. Where do we see our best outcomes and our best return? So looking at the type of work you're doing, phone versus in person versus email, it can get real easy for your team to just sort of sit and do some emails, right? Even for ourselves, sometimes we have to make sure that we're keeping the mix of phone, in person, Zoom, and email when needed. And you may know maybe your customers and clients definitely are email. You may say sell to a global market or outside of your local area. So making sure you know, but you're measuring and watching for those trends. That's what we measure these for, is to watch for trends. So make sure you give yourself permission to pull that information back out and have a strategy session. You just want to, again, see what produces the outcomes you're looking for and be able to automate this and run it from your data management system. Really important. If you don't have a system in place and maybe your budget's not allowing a large system, email me, because there's a lot of free systems out there or very inexpensive systems that you can look at. Just email me at Shari@sharipash.com, and I'll give you some recommendations on some systems. But anyway, that's our training for today. I hope it helped. I hope it was a reminder or refresher for some of you, maybe some new ideas for others. So again, get your data. It's a big part of our sales strategy. It's a way for us to really be intentional in our work. Thanks so much.